All right. Hey everyone. Glad to do this live stream. We're going to talk about EigenCompute and ELIZA and some really fun stuff around trading agents here, and how we're making those trading agents better. Maybe what we can do is we can just go around and like everyone can briefly introduce themselves. So my name is Vignesh. I lead the EigenCompute team here at EigenLabs. And Borka, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everyone. My name is Boris, and I'm on the product team here at Eliza.
Awesome.
Yeah, my name's Kenk. That's not my full name. My name's Ben in real life, but I look after our builder ecosystem at Eliza Labs. So work with all of our various agent teams.
Awesome.
I go by Sayo, and I'm a dev in the core team at elizaOS. I work on the framework and the Otaku agent.
Awesome stuff, guys. And yeah, I think today what we're really going to dive into is how Eliza, one of the most open source AI agent frameworks, is like using EigenCloud to make the execution more verifiable. And the root problem that we're really getting at is like we have all these AI agents that are going to manage capital, execute trades. But how do you make sure that the agent that you're signed up for isn't going to rug you, right? Like, because I can put my money in Uniswap, and I know Uniswap's not going to rug me. I can look at the code and see what's going on. But if I was putting my money into an agent built by a random 14-year-old somewhere in Eastern Europe, I might not be as trusting. But I could use their DeFi contract. So I think that'll be the thing that we want to talk a little bit about today, and how we're doing that with you guys from Eliza. So I think like to kind of jump into there, like why do you guys feel that verifiable execution is a missing layer for AI agents today?
Yeah, definitely. I can answer that one. And just to preface, I was once a 14-year-old in Eastern Europe, so I take small offense to that. But no, I'm totally kidding.
And that's the
totally kidding.
Yeah, get more money into your.
Yeah. So I think for us, where it really started at Eliza was this problem of how do we rely on models and providers we couldn't really fully trust, just like you mentioned, right? And so we simply assume correct behavior, but like you said, that's not always the case. It's almost, especially as agentic AI picks up, there will be more and more potential malicious behavior, more agents in this space. And so I think there's really no way to guarantee, consistency or prove that the model is being executed as we're intending, right? Or as intended. So if someone like Eigen can deploy that same sort of model, whether it's an open source model, but with trust in this loop, I think that goes a long way. I think that really no longer have to worry about malicious behavior or parts of the stack misbehaving, perhaps, or models really producing these unpredictable results. And so I think that's the biggest thing for us here at Eliza as we're continuing to build out our cloud SaaS platform. That's become really big for us, right? How to utilize TE? How do we build in Eigen within this, which we are doing, and how do we kind of bring this level of both? I would argue determinism and things like repeatability, and how do we make sure that the products, especially from a developer's point of view, it's like a major source of uncertainty. And I think because of that, without it, it would be a problem. But with it, we're sort of being able to accelerate the speed at which developers are able to build, innovate, et cetera. So I think that's kind of the core of what we at Eliza we're looking at Eigen for.
Right. That makes sense to me. And kind of like this problem exists, like regardless. How are you guys thinking about it before you heard about EigenCloud? Like, how are you thinking about like how you could do trust and verification on the Eliza models? Or was that something that you were thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked with different services as well, especially Fala. I think Fala was one of the earliest teams we started working with. And so they were pretty major contributors, especially early on in the framework. So it's always been something that's been in consideration, but I think especially with the rise of these agents within the last 6 to 12 months, especially with this X402 narrative starting to really pick up, you're going to see more and more agents built by developers, and that TE aspect becomes so much more and more important.
No, that makes sense, right? Because basically, like, you don't want this world where agents can only be provisioned by like the Robin Hoods and the Coinbases of the world, right? You want this world where like anyone, like, sorry, I accidentally ended up touching you, but where anyone anywhere in the world, no matter who they are.
I was just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah. Well, I used this humor because we actually here at Eigen, we actually have a guy. His name is Gajesh, and he was 13. He got $7 million in his DeFi contract. And so that's kind of where I like draw the truth from that example, is that you could be a 13-year-old and get $7 million in your DeFi contract, and then end up being a 17-year-old with 7 years of experience at Eigen Labs. Right, that's kind of cool. Like that's the power of permissionlessness. Yeah, and were there any so how what do you guys think about when you think about what verifiable compute means in practice, and like how you think about the difference between just like trusting a cloud and actually like proving that your code or the developer's code on that cloud is actually like running and working?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, King.
Yeah, I mean, I think as agents start to mature, and like in reality, I think the product of an agent, generally speaking, is fairly new. We have a lot of development to go on multiple fronts, but yeah, that verifiable cloud and is a very important layer, because the output of the activity or the output of the agent has to be kind of say verified somewhere. It has to be recorded somewhere, and if we do move towards this agent-to-agent economy, machine economy, whatever you kind of want to call it, having that on a centralized server is not going to be a particularly good way to operate in the long term. Just touching back on the T reference before, like just to contextualize something that we've seen in the ecosystem, there was a team, 3x DeFi engineers, building a agent-to-agent covalent system. And they use the T as the point of reference. If they're going to lend some capital to another agent, how do they identify and verify who that agent is? And they use the algorithm and the T as the point of trust or the point of truth for that loan, or for the covalent which would underpin the loan. Outputting that onto Verify Cloud just makes complete sense. And I think if you have these autonomous executions or agents just doing things without us operating it, it's more so when it goes wrong, like when that loan doesn't land correctly, or the liquidity provider rugs, or something bad happens, that's when someone's going to have to go, wait a second, what really happened there? And at scale, that just makes more sense to be on a transparent, mutable layer.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I think I just saw one of the comments on the stream, like the link between elizaOS and Eigen. I think maybe we could just rehash that a little bit, just so everyone has the context as they're joining the stream now.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Sayo, if you want to tackle this one as well.
Yes. Yeah, sure. So elizaOS is an open source AI agent framework. You can basically like get on our GitHub or use our CLI and get your agent up and running within our ecosystem in like 2 minutes. It can be local, it can be on cloud, but as long as it's your your own personal agent, whatever it's doing, it's fine. But when you like put it out there for people, I think in the next era, you would need your agents to be, if it's acting for others, it needs to inherit the same properties that we expect from the smart contracts. So that's where like EigenCloud comes in. A fun bit, you can actually like use Eliza CLI to access Eigen CLI and deploy it there. So EigenCloud provides the layer where like all your agent is doing is kind of auditable and available to everyone. And it kind of gives your agent a proof of history and verifiability, so that like other people, before utilizing your agents and services, they are able to I know yeah, I mean, like, it's just in the same way they trust Aave because of um, everything you can see and do about it. They can do same about your agent.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. So you don't have, like, it's like what you talked about from the beginning. You don't have to trust the builder. You just trust the code, right? The same ethos as the blockchain.
Yeah.
Stuff. I think like one thing, just for the listeners to talk about is a little bit about, like, so we have, EigenCloud has 2 services, and Nemo also, you feel free to jump in here, right? There's like EigenAI and there's EigenCompute, and maybe that's a bit confusing to some folks out there, and like, just curious, like, how you guys are thinking about that on the ELIZA side, and also Nemo, curious to your perspective here.
Yeah, I'll let the ELIZA folks go. So and I'll go.
Yeah, Sayo, do you want to touch on that one?
We are using both. The EigenCloud provides us the layer, the trusted execution environment, where the whatever the agent is doing in the background makes it available for everyone to see and verify. And the EigenAI provides us with auditable deterministic model outputs. So basically, like, LLMs are non-deterministic. They don't act like your regular code. If you ask it like, what's the nature of reality, each time you ask, it will give you a different answer. But if you have like a seed, then you can like make it, you can verify that, let's say, on this day, this time, however that seed is determined, this LLM response is always the same. So yeah, that's how I understand it. Maybe you guys can
Yeah, Nima, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I guess I'll zoom out one level and kind of like cover the context that's relevant here. When you're trying to, as a, I guess, trading agent, let's take it, right? Who's trying to think through some market data, make a decision on some kind of trade, right? If you were to basically have a consistent process or consistent mechanism, if you ask the agent, should I execute this trade or not, based on the exact same market data, it's not, you should probably expect the same output every time. Right? If you use like, non-deterministic LLMs, you probably might not get that because of this non-determinism. So having that like reliability around and getting the consistent behavior around money essentially that you're touching or money that you're allocating gives both, I guess, the developer of the agent some confidence, as well as the user of the agent.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think this ties into Lucas's question around, like, you're looking for AI compute. And actually, because I don't quite follow what you mean by, have you played around with verifiable deterministic AI? One thing I can say is Nima probably does that every single day, because that's what EigenAI is doing right now. And that's kind of ideal.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure of the question, but sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it, Nima.
No, I was just gonna say, like, this determinism piece is actually sort of a non-trivial thing to figure out, because the nuance there is like the OpenAIs of the world, right? They make an attempt to give you deterministic behavior, but they don't make a guarantee, right? Which is where this kind of actually ends up mattering in production. So we kind of had to look through the entire AI stack, the GPU drivers work, how the kernel implementations work, etc. It's like how inference engines work and so on, just to be able to get this outcome as relevant to agents or other sort of systems that want some kind of reproducibility. And to also put it in like even more context, as far as we know, the only other company who's done this in the world is the company that was founded by the ex-CTO of OpenAI. This is pretty like hardcore AI stuff that we've been able to make some breakthroughs on in order to give developers, agent developers, this capability.
Yeah.
Question for Nima regarding that, if that's all right. I think this deterministic inference discussion, it's like is it possible, or are you guys thinking about the possibility of like caching or reusing results across agents, right? Like if it already knows the weights and outputs of something that's been asked previously, like that maybe optimizes for more efficient use of tokens or something like that. Have you guys considered that at all?
Yeah, I mean, caching is definitely like a tried and true mechanism, right, of getting consistent behavior. The nuance there is in production again, when you're relying on this behavior, if there's a cache miss, right, and you have to go and like re-execute that prompt and you get a different output as a result of that, then what do you do?
Right.
If you for sure 100% want to know that, like even caching or not, you have the same consistent behavior every time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think, Nima, I think the question's been clarified a bit. It's around the hallucination problem, right? I think there was a recent AI paper that was published, and it talks about why language models hallucinate, right?
Yeah. So that's a good question.
Yeah.
To clarify what we mean by verifiable here, there's kind of two interpretations of verification. It's one is the sensibility of the output of the model, right? Which is what the model says. And that is where hallucinations come in, right? Like I can make some kind of lie, and obviously like that's not true, right? But it's just something that the LLM can say. When we talk about verification in this context, we mean verifying the execution of the model was ran with the prompt that we think it was ran on the model that we think it was ran and got the output that we think should be expected. So those three components are the things that you can expect consistently every time you do a run.
Yeah.
It's about the execution as opposed to the sensibility of the output.
I think one way I think about this as an analogy is it's like I can let's take like a real world example. I can prove I gave my money to like Ray Bridgewater, like like I gave him money to that guy, but I can't decide after that he could make a decision that doesn't make any sense and lose a bunch of money. So you're kind of depending on Ray's intelligence. But in this case, as the user, you don't have to worry about whether you trust Ray to like steal your money or not, right? But it doesn't mean that he could still make a decision that was incorrect. Like that's
and a place where like this particularly becomes relevant is when you take into account the quantization of the models or the precision level that the models have production, right? Let's say you're using the full precision version of the model in order to have some sophisticated reasoning capability for an agent to like make financial decisions. But then in production, because of whatever sort of like is going on behind the hood, that the quantization of the model, basically the precision that's used in the model, ends up being lowered and affects the decision-making capability or the reasoning capability of that agent, which is not something you want to run into when you're making financial decisions. Sort of an overlap there.
Yeah, makes sense. Next question for Boris and team is how hard was it to integrate with EigenCloud? Like how much work does it take? Is it simple or was it pretty heavy lift?
I could take that one. Yeah, so I think we were able to get up and running in like a few hours because like it was our first time. But since we have like verified the process again and again to do this, so you can just like use elizaOS CLI or EigenX CLI directly, and it would be like 5 minutes, I guess, like getting the thing built and deployed. It's fairly easy.
Yeah. Did anything change for Eliza developers after integrating EigenCompute and EigenAI, or like are there any differences for developers on elizaOS?
Yeah, so they get the same elizaOS in EigenCloud with EigenAI. The upside is obviously that the agent and the AI is now verifiable, trustable, with inheriting all the properties of that EigenCloud or EigenAI offers. So yeah,
awesome stuff. And now, kind of like as we move into this world, I want this to be kind of like a bigger, more brainstorming kind of question. like something around the second and third order effects, right? Like, because I think when crypto came out, I don't even know if people would have thought that we're going to have all these like yield bearing vaults that exist because of DeFi positions, right? But all these complex financial instruments. But like, what are some of these things that you all think are going to come out because we have verifiable agents and ELIZA agents that are now verifiable? Like, what are some of the second order, third order? What are some of the things you all are really excited about in the future about coming out?
The short answer would be like the earlier, like if you were doing on-chain automation of any sort, you were like limited to doing um, you couldn't like basically tap into the algorithms or like the everything that was available in the outside world, and you had to do all those sort of things off chain in a like a non-trustable manner. But like now with the um, stuff that's coming out everywhere, like you you can tap into basically everything that like I mean all the sophisticated quant trading, algo trading stuff that you could possibly get into and have that um, you know trustless manner.
Yeah, I also think that just because agent to agent interaction will do nothing but go up in terms of capabilities and just the count overall. I think you're going to need more and more of things like EigenCloud for TE. I think it's a natural next step for people to feel more comfortable with giving less and less. Well, I guess more and more responsibility to agents, but agents that are interacting with other agents people have built. I think there's a natural layer of trust that needs to be there. And in many ways, I think what Eigen and many others are doing are, we're very much lucky that Web3 has also kind of been focusing on things like this. And so they're essentially building the railroad before the Steam engine has been really built. And the Steam engine is definitely being built. So I think that's how I see it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess just speaking to, there's two things coming to mind. First is that I think a lot of the Web2 agents that are probably, the Vassals of the world and the Manuses of the world, I eventually see a lot of them needing to come and use blockchains for payments or for just economic activities. And we are, and maybe we're both operating in parallel, but we're building the on-chain infrastructure, and ELIZA is very uniquely placed as the intersection of Web2 agents that can interact with blockchains. Over time, I think more agent frameworks or just agents in general will need to use blockchains for just doing things, exchanging value. So I see us as laying the railroads for that, as Boris said. And then speaking to the ELIZA ecosystem, like we AgentFi, DeFi, we have like a really diverse category there. LP management, quantitative, like not quantitative traders, but quantitative, just quants, quantitative researcher agents, vault management. We have a project that like scans Twitter Spaces to find alpha and then give you a report every day of what you should buy based on what people have spoke about overnight. So it's kind of like a take on DeFi, but disrupting it or integrating into existing protocols, I think, and adding a new feature or UX layer. But we also have like, we have an IP management agent. We have a bunch of marketing agents. We have prediction market app layers, some DeSci use cases. We had a few people. Bioprotocol worked with us quite in about February, and there was a gut health agent that demoed for the first time yesterday. So it's quite diverse in regards to like what we're seeing being built natively. But yeah, just thought I'd add that context.
Yeah, I think actually you brought up a great point, which I'm curious on everyone's thoughts, is like what are some really exciting things coming up on the ELIZA roadmap that kind of like tie back to this, and like what are you all most really excited about there?
Boris?
Yeah, you can go first if you want. Go ahead.
I mean, A004 is very interesting. I think discoverability and that trust layer within agent commerce agent interactions is going to become important if they're going to shift from, I guess, responsive agents to autonomous, intelligence almost. So yeah, we're really paying attention to that. We've been aligning with the Ethereum Foundation on how we approach that. I know EigenLayer and your team are also there as well. So that's short. Well, I say short term, but the next few months. Boris, I'll let you mention cloud and where you're heading with all of that.
Sure.
It kind of ties together.
Yeah, I'll mention two here. First is, I think, very foundational for us at Eliza, and that's we're building a cloud-based SaaS platform where anyone can begin to create, deploy, interact with AI agents. If they want to, they can touch little to no code. So that's very much the idea. We want to kind of bridge the Web3 and Web2 world. And that's beginning to be built, probably released by the end of the year. So really excited about that. We are also implementing a lot of features within it. So for example, I think we talked a little bit about X402. We'll be powering agents to monetize essentially their capabilities via X402. It will also probably have 8004 embedded. So once agents are created, they'll get their IDs. They'll be able to be, discoverable, and then have validation, reputation, things of that nature, right? Forward-facing stuff, but we're really excited about that. Second thing I'm excited about is we actually just had an internal hackathon within the company, and we built an agent called Otaku. She's basically a DeFi trading agent. She's able to do portfolio research, on-chain executions, but just basically all kinds of things you'd be able to do within your wallet. Built a nice little front end for it. And we're starting to work on that and release it out to beta users. And so those two things are what I'm excited about.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, actually, I think we might have some demos from you guys on the Eliza side that we want to share. But before we do that, I see, Nima, there's a lot of interest, I think, around Mira's paper, around the thinking machines and the non-determinism. Do you want to just kind of like talk a little bit about that? And then maybe, Boris, is now a good time to jump into kind of your demo that we wanted to showcase in the stream as well?
Yeah. Did Nima want to go first, or?
Yeah, let's do Nima first. You guys get set up, and then we'll just transition.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess, the main thing I'll say about that is we're going to be releasing the technical report on that in the next few days. We're just touching it up and polishing it. So definitely, follow us. We'll be releasing that ASAP. It'll come with all the bells and whistles you would expect from a good technical report. So alongside that, we're going to be releasing a blog post that focuses on some of the unlocks you get by having this behavior. One of which, pretty interestingly, is, for example, tool call planning. If an agent is thinking of how to use a certain set of tools, just having the determinism around how you plan those tools over multiple rows ends up being pretty interesting if you want to have sensible, rational environment workflows around making your agents reliable. Plus many other use cases will be written in the engineering blog post. So excited to get that out.
Awesome. Well, I think everyone's really anticipating that blog post, Nima, because I think it is where people will be able to understand some of the work that you and everyone here, so Shriyam comes from that UW research background and has been working on. Awesome. Let's jump into the Eliza demo. I'm really excited to take a look and see it.
Sure thing. Can you guys see my screen here?
I cannot see your. Oh, now I think it's coming up. Okay. Yeah, I see you talking. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, this is the front end of Otaku. So inspired by my stroke-inducing experience with looking at the banker bot interface, I was like, we can clean this up. We can add more features to it. And so essentially, like I mentioned, right, she's DeFi intelligence. She can do on-chain data with all kinds of different capabilities. She can do token analysis, operation within the wallet, portfolio monitoring, DeFi education, and these are all powered by Eliza core plugins that we have.
Yeah, Boris, just one quick question: is there any way you can zoom in a little bit more, just so that on the stream it looks a little bit? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So just to quickly run through the plugins that we have for market data. We're utilizing CoinGecko, analytics, DeFi Llama. The AI engine, of course, is powered by Eliza. utilizing Morpho for lending, Clanker for token launch pads, currently utilizing Coinbase CDP for execution and wallets. And yeah, so basically what Eliza is able to do is, like I said, all kinds of things. So for example, if we wanted to say, hey, listen, I've been off the last few days, catch me up on the market. We'll say, catch me up on market trends. So she actually has this, reasoning process. So where she's doing trending search, she is basically having an answer already. So market's been bleeding since you've been away. Trending board is mostly red, Bitcoin down, etc. So for example, let's say we want to actually do something, right? So let's swap $1 of ETH for USDC. Simple enough. Again, analyzing the request, begins to execute, and processes this. So yeah, you're able to fund your wallet. This is currently EVM-based wallets. We're adding Solana a little bit later on. Like I said, anything from sending, swapping, research, and So today we've also, so here's the transaction hash. And today we've also actually finished up X402 capabilities for Otaku, which we can demo as well. I think Seo has that up. So I know that the narrative for X402 has been pretty rampant the past week, but I think we've seen a lot of talking and not as much action as we would like. So we were like, okay, well, why don't we actually start to utilize this and showcase the capabilities of it? So we made Otaku available on X402 Scan, and she can begin to be utilized. And Seo, if you want to share.
Yeah, but before we jump that, just a couple of comments. One, I have this problem a lot. Like for example, today I think I got a day from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. at Eigen. So then not very much time for me to play the market. So glad that something else can. Can I do something like, can I give it a more interesting answer? Like, can I say like, hey, for the next 3 days, I'm really busy. Do X, Y, Z if this happens, and do this other thing if the market, basically the markets are up, do this, and if the markets are down, do this. Like, could I do something like that? Can I like specify an intent over a couple of days based on outputs?
Yeah. So the next implementation, next iteration is background tasks. I think that's kind of been the most wanted feature by our internal users. So I think that's definitely coming next. Among other things, I think we also want to put in Polymarket, the betting aspect of it as well, not just research, but the actual bets themselves as well. But yeah, that and background tasks, I think, are our two next major features.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, I think that'll be really exciting, especially for all of the really busy people of the world.
Right.
Awesome. Excited to see the next part of the demo.
Is my screen visible?
I'm still seeing Otaku.
Okay. So just today we made Otaku available for everyone through.
Could you do the same thing as Boris? Could you just zoom in a little bit, just so like on the stream people can see the text a little better? Thank you.
So just today we made Otaku available on X402. So what that means is other agents or that have wallet, they can basically tap into Otaku's intelligence engine and get responses. So I hope the demo gods are with me. So I have a prompt here. It's a 3-layered prompt, like what is the stake date, how does EigenLayer work, and what is the current Eigen price. So I'll just run it. So it just made a payment to Otaku on Base, a live transaction. It costed 1.5 cent, and it got a job ID that the agent will process and it will respond. So here is the agent response, 3-layered prompt, very concise response. What is the stake date? What does EigenLayer do? And this is the current Eigen price. So in the background, it went through multiple actions on EigenCloud, and the basically came back with a result.
Yeah, I think this is actually I think this is very exciting because one thing I've always thought is obviously agents aren't free, right? And then it's going to be valuable for your agents to go talk to other agents, to get data, to get alpha, to get sources, right? Go talk to agents that even have access to different kinds of data around the web. There's this whole multi-agent thing that's coming out. It's a big part of this because also agents have limited context and they do better when they have smaller context windows. So I think having these type of inter-agent payments through X402 to pay the balance could really do some interesting stuff in terms of enabling that.
Yeah, I agree. I
yeah.
think sorry.
Yeah, if I could add a bit, just a plug, we have been working on ElizaCloud that will allow anyone to deploy agents through just a GUI, no-code agents, basically, all powered by elizaOS. And there will be tons and tons of agents, and all the devs can also utilize ElizaCloud to basically deploy their agents through multiple providers, possibly including Eigen. And yeah, so all those agents eventually will be basically participating in this economy. They will have reputation, uh, history, and everything that other agents could tap in through the layers of uh, different indexing layers like reputation or uh, basically those kind of items.
Awesome stuff. And what's the best way for anyone to get started to kind of use Eliza in this way? Where should they go? How should they start?
Yeah, so ElizaCloud should be out probably mid-November for DevConnect. That's when our MVP will be released. Soon thereafter, we'll do a major push as well. But we very much want to have a workable demo for DevConnect.
Awesome stuff. So by DevConnect, builders will be able to start building agents on the elizaOS platform through this.
Yeah, exactly. And if anyone wants to check out Otaku, play around, it's otaku.so.
Awesome stuff.
In the short term, if you head to eliza.how, you'll be direct to the docs. And I mean, all the getting started guides are in there. The GitHub's obviously open source. So if you're a developer and still want to go through the CLI and build from scratch, I guess in the short term you can do that. But yeah, the cloud will be a lot simpler. Yeah, there you go. eliza.how for all the guides.
Perfect.
Clean.
Smooth. It was good.
Yeah, and one thing I'm just wondering about is how are you guys even thinking about the bigger picture? How are these things going to change the trajectory of crypto and AI, and where do you think it's going to be 1 or 2 years from now?
Yeah, I think we talked about verifiability a lot, right? And I think luckily for us that's a very native Web3 component, right? I think blockchains very much focus on embodying trust. And I think because of the agent ecosystem, trust is just so highly required, I would say. And so from that point, I would say that, how would I put it? I think that because of that, I think Web 2 is kind of really not able to chase as quickly as we can, right? They're chasing scale. Web 3 is kind of chasing this agentic experience. And so for us, where I see it in the next 12 months in terms of agentic AI is you give more and more responsibility to these agents. And in doing so, you spend less and less time on, I think, very much things like the internet, right? And from a Web 2 and Web 3 perspective. From a Web 2 perspective, you're probably no longer booking your own flights in a year. You're no longer doing these menial tasks. You're no longer doing these banking tasks. From a Web3 perspective, I think just what we showcased with Otaku, you'll probably do much less things that can be done in the background, like Vignesh, like you mentioned, right? Hey, you're working from 8 to 11 tonight. You don't have time to monitor your portfolio, watch for trends, make trades based on what's happening. All those things will probably start to be agentized. And I think people's lives will be opening up more and more in terms of free time, I hope. That's kind of the main goal for me in terms of AI. So people can really chase what they really value in life. So,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Nima, anything you want to add there from EigenAI perspective?
Not particularly. I'm just excited about us being able to lift the baseline of trust and verifiability here, because like we keep saying these words, but then when you put it into practice and like what it actually means, right? Being able to lower counterparty risk and just increase economic activity, it has tangible benefits quite quickly. So I think 2025, we're halfway through the decade. I think this is the decade of AI and crypto. So I'm really excited to see all this stuff come together.
Yeah, awesome. And now another thing I'm wondering too is if I was listening to all of this, I'd want to understand a little bit deeper on like how you can actually trust it, right? We've talked about verifiability, we've talked about like EigenAI and EigenCompute, we talked about the determinism, but like how do all these things like the crypto, economic security, the TEs, like how do these? I'm kind of maybe I have some of the answers here, but I'm also curious like how Eliza, you guys are thinking about this, and Nima, how you're thinking about it as well. Like how do they all come together to like give trust to everyone?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I mean, the infrastructure is kind of there now, right? To kind of introduce that trust layer. The question is, how do you define trust? Like, how do you define reputation? Us as humans do this intuitively. We trust each other based on maybe behaviors you see, or maybe just first perceptions of people, and the way that we quantify that for machines to trust each other is yet to be defined. We're kind of playing with the reputation layer as kind of like a social scoring system. I think there's probably some agent benchmarking in there. I think there may be some, trusted, the T's and verifiability is definitely one element. And the feedback loops of the agent's behavior, or let's say the agent's activities over time, will kind of build that trust from 0 to 1. I think it's very easy to, it's cliche to say this out loud. It's the first time I said it, but it's very easy to build that. It takes a long time to build that trust. And if you break that trust as an agent, okay, you misreport or you mismanage some funds, that's going to really, tracing that and understanding that and having a system to report that is kind of where we're thinking about it. It's quite a complex problem to solve. But yeah, we're chewing on it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think there's an interesting question here, which is key to the developer, which is like how do you share memory between agents with the protocol, or even like how does the agents communicate? I think we touched a little bit on X402 with payment style stuff, but I think just sharing memory or talking between the agents is an interesting question that a lot of folks in the audience might have.
I can take this one. This is a very interesting question. One of the things that many agents lack is memory, the basic thing that humans utilize to navigate the world around them. So elizaOS has like a built-in memory system, which is quite advanced. That the agent has a perception of the world, the room it is in. So in case of like, let's say it's running on Twitter, Twitter is the world, and then within that the Twitter threads are like a room. So we kind of follow that model, and it applies to all the places you put your agent in. So that's kind of a high level view of how memory works in those agents, but it's very flexible. You can like scope it to a certain environment, and you can like make it globally available. So the agent has like access across the worlds it is in, let's say Twitter, Discord, or the direct UI chat. And then we have certain plugins that allow agent to package its memory as a reusable thing, whether like as an agent swarm or like um, just like basically like allowing agents to work together with other agents. So a nice thing about this is that agent can like encrypt its memory in a package and post it on chain, and whoever is like authorized to access it, those can access its memories. So this is a way in which agent can like even if an agent, just like how like L2s post their data on the DA layer, agent can also utilize it, and other agents can do all sorts of things with them. So this is definitely possible with elizaOS and EigenCloud or the DA layer. I'm not sure about the DA layer, but yeah, theoretically it is very possible that they can post their memory on chain, and even if agent had to like respawn, they could like download its memory back, which would be kind of a fun experiment.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, just to clarify, you can send agentic data to EigenDA, and that's actually one of the reasons why we're scaling it up so much to like 100 megabytes per second. I think the DA team's actually, I don't want to reveal too much here, but there might be some exciting stuff where we're going to hit another level of scale because we're hoping to see agents collaborate in this way, right? And then you can tell what data was fed into agents, and because it was available, and you can see all of that. So we're pretty excited about that.
It's also mentioned that's across different modalities as well, right? So agents won't just be operating on text. They can operate on video, audio, images, what have you, across the internet.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're basically running up on time here. Any just closing thoughts from the Eliza team and Nima?
For me, yeah, thanks guys. This is a great conversation. Very excited to be implementing EigenCloud, not only within Otaku, but specifically Eliza Cloud. I think it's going to be a very big deterministic way in which people will decide to utilize our platform, just because of how much more and more responsibility they'll be giving to agents. So yeah, super excited about what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Any other closing thoughts from anyone?
I think I'm good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for everyone listening in, go to eliza.how to get started with elizaOS. I think we're all going to be looking forward to when you guys ship the beta. I know myself and Nima are going to probably download it and start playing around with it. And if you're interested in starting out with EigenCloud, go to eigencloud.xyz. We also, I think we want to also say, like, we're all available. We're on X, just find us, reach out to us. We want to help everyone succeed and build these verifiable agents, I think both on the Eliza and the Eigen side. So thanks everyone for tuning in.
Nice.
Thanks,
Thanks for having us, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.